Going to describe will probably sound like a bad science fiction movie, but that's what's written into law. Right now in law, that's going to be implemented it says for 2026 and beyond. Now, the reality is the technology doesn't exist, but that doesn't keep legislators from imagining things that they would like to do to infringe on civil liberties. But there is a law that states that every vehicle manufactured is going to have a kill switch in it.
In yet another example of Congressman Thomas Massie looking out for the American people and being incredibly principled in his libertarian values, he and other lawmakers are warning Americans about what is known as these so-called automobile kill switches. Now, the majority of Congress voted to support this notion, this idea, this policy, and so it is set to become law this year. But there are nuances to this story that I think are important to know about. And I want to be clear, the whole idea of these kill switch, car features, devastating, disastrous. The fact that Congress supported this tells you everything you need to know about our lawmakers. We need to vote them out, okay? Any lawmaker who supported this needs to go. So bear with me as I explain the kill switch. So it's a provision that originates not from the Trump administration. Let's be clear about that. It originates from section 24,220 of the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So Democrats, please come at me about how Biden accomplished so many wonderful things with his infrastructure bill. Did he though? Did he? Because when I look at that infrastructure bill, what I see personally is a lot of handouts to private companies, violations of our privacy, and all sorts of, privatization of public lands. So I just need the American people to not buy into the partisan scam anymore and realize that both parties are effing us hard, very, very hard. So, the section that we're going to discuss reads as follows, okay? To ensure the prevention of alcohol-impaired driving fatalities, advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology must be standard equipment in all new passenger motor vehicles. But why? Why are we making the assumption that we're all like drunk drivers and we need to be monitored in our own private property? Our cars are our property, right? So our cars are now going to be monitoring us. Okay, let's keep going. I hate this. By the way, Gavin Newsom pushing hard for a policy that would automatically slow down your car if you go over the speed limit. What is this nanny state BS? I hate this kind of garbage. Anyway, let's keep going. The term advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology means a system that A, can passively monitor the performance of a driver of a motor vehicle to accurately identify whether the driver may be impaired and prevent or limit motor vehicle operation if an impairment is detected. Oh wow, we're really relying on this monitoring technology to not only monitor us, which is super creepy, but on top of that, to be accurate in determining whether or not we're impaired. And by the way, hold that thought because the technology ain't there. So we should all be concerned about this. Now, further, it can passively and accurately detect whether the blood alcohol concentration of a driver of a motor vehicle is equal to or greater than 0.08% and prevent or limit motor vehicle operation if a blood alcohol concentration above the legal limit is detected or is a combination of systems described in subparagraphs A and B. Okay, so in other words, our lawmakers voted in favor of mandating technology in our cars that monitors every single one of us, collects data on every single one of us, and gets to determine whether or not we are allowed to operate our own vehicles. Now, if you are someone who has a history of substance abuse, you're driving under the influence, I thought we had a solution for that. I thought you blow into the device and that gets to decide whether or not your car starts. Why is every single American indiscriminately going to be monitored by their own cars? What is this? This is garbage. So that same year, by the way, 2021, Congress passed legislation that specifically mandates that the technology be installed in new cars. So the Department of Transportation was tasked with creating and implementing the standard for these kill switches. But as the years have passed, there's been a lot of problems, as you can imagine, right? So the technology to carry out the mandate still isn't good enough because it's oftentimes inaccurate. This year, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration wrote the following. Currently, detection technology around the legal limit continues to have an error rate that could be unacceptably high. But who cares? Congress should just vote in favor of it anyway, right? They can't be bothered to read the entirety of the legislation they're voting in favor of, and B, determine whether or not that technology is accurate enough to implement a mandate on. Even a 99.9% detection accuracy level could result in millions to tens of millions of instances each year where the technology would incorrectly prevent or limit drivers from operating their vehicles or fail to prevent or limit impaired drivers from doing so. Remember when we were all deluded into thinking that technology improves our lives? Well, we've now surpassed that era. We're now in the era of how can technology be mandated in Americans' lives to make their lives a lot worse? Okay. So it's not entirely clear how this technology would work in practice, right? So it could take the form of a breathalyzer-like device. We already have breathalyzers, so why don't we just keep going with that system? Or maybe the car would monitor the driver's behavior, like how much they're swerving on the road. But there's still no clear timeline. And that's what I wanted to be clear about in this story, because there's a lot going around on social media about how beginning in 2027, the kill switches will be mandated on every car. That's not necessarily true. So no further congressional approval is needed for the mandate to proceed, but NHTSA must finalize the rule before automakers face compliance deadlines. As of April 2026, no final rule has been issued, and full implementation is not expected before 2027 at the earliest. The technology applies only to new passenger vehicles manufactured after the effective date of the final standard, not of the 2027 law. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go into effect in 2027. You have to wait for, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to finalize their standards. And it seems like they're having a difficult time doing that because the technology ain't there yet. So it will not be retrofitted into older cars. So keep your older cars. Don't get rid of them. If you own a car outright, keep it. If you don't own a car outright, try to do so. Buy a car that doesn't have this technology mandated within it. Once the NHTSA finalizes their rule, car manufacturers will have 2 to 3 years to add that technology to their cars. In the meantime, Massey is working really hard to try to defeat this mandate. In January, for instance, he proposed an amendment that would prohibit funds for implementing the kill switch, which in my opinion is fine, but doesn't go far enough. And by the way, that amendment failed. I hate Congress. You don't hate Congress enough. You do not hate Congress enough. These people hate you. They work against you. They make your life worse. Vote them out. They're garbage. And only 4 Democrats and 60 Republicans, I should say, voted in favor. So
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.